Hello, friends. Excuse me. Welcome to the Read Aloud today. We are going to be reading about garter snakes as you start your next chapter in your reading. Part of the chapter is about garter snakes, and then the second half is about rattlesnakes. So today's story is on garter snakes. And garter snakes are the type of snakes that we have at school. Some people will call them gardener or garter, but they're garter snakes. I actually am very fond of them. Last year, the kids and I used to spend time holding them. And the only thing I don't like about garter snakes is they let off this smell, kind of like a skunk, but it's so that you'll let them go. They don't want to be held. So we have to be very careful with our garter snakes, but they're not dangerous to us. So let's read. Garter Snakes is the title, and the author is Elizabeth Rom. And so in this book, she'll explain garter snakes, including what they eat, where they live, and information about their life cycle and interactions with humans. So I am going to hide the camera right now so we can just enjoy the story. Here we go. Garter snakes. Garter snakes are fast. They dart across the road into the long grass. They lay on brick they lay on a brick wall, soaking up the sun. Walk closer, and the snake races away. A flash of wiggly snake catches us by surprise. And here's a caption. Don't forget about these. Garter snakes slither quickly. So, what's the verb in this sentence? What do the garter snakes do? They slither. Nice job. You may find garter snakes in your gardens. Some people even call garter snakes garden snakes. Garter snake is the right name. Garter snakes live in fields, forests, and swamps. They are one of the most common snakes in North America. Garter snakes probably live near you. And friends, we already knew they do, right? So here is a question. Are garter snakes dangerous? So let's look at this picture. A garter snake pokes its head through some leaves. And here's the answer. Not at all. Garters are harmless. So harmless is the opposite of dangerous. This garter has yellow stripes from head to tail. There are many different kinds of garter snakes. Garters are thin. Most are about 28 inches long. Garters may be dark brown, olive green, or red. Some have checks or patterns on their bodies. They all have 3 long, narrow stripes on their backs. The stripes can be yellow, white, blue, or green. So the question here is, do snakes feel slimy? And the answer is no. Their scales are rough and dry. Wow. Catching lunch. Ooh, look at that great picture. Catching lunch. Garters hunt during the day. They have good eyesight and a strong sense of smell. Garters smell with their tongues. They flick their tongues out to collect scents in the air. An organ in the snake's mouth tells the snake what it smells. Is it another garter or something to eat? Garters flick their tongues to smell the air. So, friends, can you imagine having your nose in your mouth? Ooh, and it does have a forked tongue. Why do you think a garter snake's tongue might be forked at the end? That's really interesting. I guess I've not thought of it before. Garter snakes capture their prey and swallow it live. They use their teeth and throat muscles to pull prey into their stomachs. Garters eat worms, slugs, and grasshoppers. They also eat bird eggs and mice. Near ponds, they munch on frogs and tadpoles. This garter snake is looking for something to eat. So the word prey, we also had that in our animal habitats domain. Prey is what a predator eats. Garter snakes lie in the sun to stay warm. Yeah, because they're cold blooded, friends. So it said the question is, what happens if a garter snake gets too cold? And the answer is the snake begins to move more slowly. If it doesn't warm up quickly, its heart will stop. It will die. I never thought about that. Also, friends, what'll happen if a snake is too cold and it can't move, and there's a big bird that flies overhead and sees the snake? Will it be able to escape that bird? I fear not. Okay, the title of this page is Seeking the Sun. Garters need the sun. After eating, they bask or lie in the sun. The sun helps them to digest their food. Garters need the sun to stay warm too. Like all snakes, garter snakes are cold blooded. Their bodies cool down when the weather does. Hmm. When the weather gets cool, garters find warm shelters. Some burrow under dead leaves. In colder places, they dig holes underground. It is warmer there. They may crawl into some other animal's den. Garters' bodies slow down. They hibernate or sleep until spring. And the caption at the top of the page says, Garters find a den to sleep all winter. Interesting. Oh my, look at all these snakes. Red-sided garter snakes live in Canada. They are the only snakes that live that far north. It gets cold there. In winter, these garters crawl into caves deep underground. As many as 20,000 garters might live together in one cave. They stay underground for about 6 months. And the caption at the bottom, many garter snakes come out of caves in the spring. Oh, friends, can you imagine that picture? Can you imagine being near a cave and then all of a sudden 20,000 garter snakes start coming out? Whew, that's kind of freaky to think about, isn't it? Wow. And I like snakes. Spring surprise. Garters everywhere wake up in the spring. A woman in Utah met a garter close up one spring day. She was baking bread. She left the oven door open to cool, and when she went to close the door, she peeked inside and she came face to face with a 16-inch garter snake. It wanted a warm place to stay. Oh my gosh, friends, I don't know about you, but if I looked into my oven and saw a snake, I think I'd freak out just a little bit. So the caption at the top of page 21, in the spring, garters look for places to warm up. So a lot of times, if there are rocks that are in the sunshine, and many of you might already know that a rock will absorb and hold on to the sun's heat. So it makes a cozy place for the garter snakes to kind of curl up and warm up their bodies. All right. The caption on the top of this picture, males and females come together to mate. In the spring, garters may come inside houses or bask on sunny playgrounds. They are trying to get warm. They mate in the spring too. Females give off a special smell. Many males may gather around one female and form a mating ball. They make a pile of wriggling snakes. So the question is, how do the males smell the females? And the answer is the same way they smell food. They use their tongues. It still is very interesting because it looks like they have little holes where they should have noses. After mating, 10 to 40 babies grow inside of their mother's body. 2 or 3 months later, the babies are born live. Baby garters are 4 to 9 inches long. They already know how to hunt. A few hours after birth, they leave their mother and go hunting. Young garters eat a lot. They must grow before winter comes. Now, this is interesting, friends. I did not realize that garter snakes are born live and not in a shell. That's fascinating. So the caption says, "This young garter already knows how to hunt." And the question on this page is, how long do garters live? And the answer is, many die in the first year. Most garter snakes live only 2 years. So that's kind of on the short side. I'm wondering why. Maybe we'll find out. Mm, beautiful picture of a hawk. And the caption says, "A hawk catches a garter snake for a meal." Lots of garters. There are lots of garter snakes in North America. They eat many animals that are pests. They eat insects, mice, snails, and slugs. Bigger animals hunt garter snakes. Hawks, raccoons, bigger snakes, and bullfrogs hunt garters. If garter snakes are attacked, they bite and give off a bad smell. So I've never been bitten by a garter snake, but I definitely have smelled that smell that I was explaining earlier. So the question on this page is a garter snake's bite deadly? And the answer is nope, but it hurts. And the smell is just stinky. Ugh, I can't describe it, but it is stinky. Next time you see a garter snake, don't be afraid. Garters are harmless. In fact, they help us by eating bugs and other pests. Look closely at the colors. Watch the way the snake winds across the grass. It's fun to watch as the garter slithers away. And the caption at the bottom of the page is, "Keep an eye out for garters darting in the grass." I know most of the time when I find garter snakes, it's because I almost step on them, and that's kind of spooky as you put your foot down and all of a sudden there's a snake there. And we have our glossary. If you remember, a glossary is like a dictionary, and it's always at the back of your book. And here is the index. So, one of our last lessons that we did, I was explaining that one thing that I really like about nonfiction books is you don't have to read them all for them to make sense. So, I could either look in the table of contents and um, I could find something that I wanted to read, or if I knew exactly what I wanted to read, I could come to the index in the back of the book, and all of the main subjects are in alphabetical order. So I knew that if I wanted to find out about that stinky smell I was telling you about, I could look up the word smell, and it's right here. And I could look on pages 10 and 20, excuse me, 10 and 23 and 27, and that would tell me all about their smell. Okay, let's click our link and see how many points we get today. Can we get to 100? Yes. Can we get to 150? No, almost. All right, so our book is completed today. So I cannot wait for you to tune into our next book, and it is going to be about rattlesnakes. So until then, friends, have a great day.